On Sunday afternoon, in a school gymnasium in the small German town of Marsberg, Friedrich Merz stood in front of a room of teenagers and said the unsayable. He said the United States is being humiliated by Iran. He said Donald Trump has no exit strategy, no convincing plan, and no idea how to get out. And he said out loud that this is starting to look an awful lot like Afghanistan and Iraq. This is Friedrich Merz, the man who, as recently as March 3rd, was sitting in the Oval Office personally offering Trump support against the Iranian regime. So in this video, we'll explain what changed, the 3 reasons Europe's most reliable transatlanticist has just broken ranks, and what it means for the alliance that has held the West together for 80 years. Let's start with what Merz actually said because the language matters. Speaking at a CDU youth forum on April 27th, Merz used the German word gedemütigt, humiliated, to describe the American position vis-à-vis Tehran. He said, and I quote, "At the moment, I can't tell what strategic exit the Americans are pursuing." He warned the war risks becoming a quagmire, drew an explicit parallel to the 2021 Kabul withdrawal and the 2011 Iraq pullout, and added that Germany cannot keep absorbing the cost of a war it did not vote for. For context, this is a man who in March was offering Trump help getting rid of, in his own words, this terrible terrorist regime. And when reporters gave him an off-ramp the following morning, he refused to take it. Using the word humiliated about your largest security guarantor is, broadly speaking, a choice. So the question is, why now? There are 3 reasons, and the third is the one that really matters. Reason 1 is money. Since the Iran war began on February 28th, the European Union has spent between 24 and 32 billion euros on extra energy imports, with daily fossil fuel bills rising more than 500 million euros a day. Brent crude is now forecast to average $86 a barrel this year. Germany's growth forecast has been halved to 0.5%, and the GfK Consumer Climate Index has collapsed to negative 33.3, the worst reading since the 2022 energy shock. Vanguard has revised European inflation up to 2.5%, citing the Iran war as the primary driver. Reason 2 is the politics at home. The AfD has overtaken Merz's CDU in the polls, sitting at 28% to his 24%, and somewhere between 76 and 84% of Germans are dissatisfied with his coalition. His SPD coalition partner is openly demanding distance from Washington, and Merz needs a foreign policy posture that doesn't make him look like Trump's understudy. But reason 3 is the one that broke the dam. Trump publicly called European NATO allies, Germany, Britain, France, cowards and useless for refusing to send naval forces to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The Pentagon then floated suspending Spain from NATO for closing its airspace to American warplanes, and Trump himself threatened to pull the United States out of the alliance entirely. You do not call the German chancellor a coward and expect a Christmas card, which brings us to what Germany actually does next. On April 22nd, Defense Minister Boris Pistorius unveiled the first standalone military strategy in the history of the modern German state, targeting 460,000 troops and reservists combined by 2039, up from roughly 185,000 active personnel today. Germany overtook the United Kingdom and France in 2025 to become Europe's largest defense spender at $114 billion, a 24% jump in a single year, and total defense-related borrowing for 2027 is projected to approach 200 billion euros. Rheinmetall now claims German ammunition production has overtaken American output. NATO has quietly chosen Saab and Bombardier, Swedish and Canadian, over American Boeing for its next early warning aircraft. And there is reportedly serious discussion in Berlin about a Franco-German nuclear arrangement that sits outside the NATO command structure entirely. To be clear, Germany abandoning NATO is not on the table. What's on the table is strategic autonomy within NATO, and that brings us to the question Europe has been quietly avoiding for 80 years, because Merz isn't alone. Macron said last week that the United States, China, and Russia are dead against European interests. Czech President Pavel has openly called for a United States of Europe. Meloni broke with Trump in early April. Sánchez has closed Spanish airspace to American warplanes, and even Hungary's incoming PM Magyar is signaling a return to Brussels. Broadly speaking, the European political class has converged on a single conclusion, that Trump cannot be trusted with European security. Merz calling Trump's strategy a humiliation is not a slip of the tongue. It is the moment Germany formally joined that consensus. Whether this becomes the foundation of genuine European autonomy or fades the day Trump leaves office depends entirely on what Berlin, Paris, and Brussels do in the next 6 months. If you want to stay across the unraveling of the Transatlantic Alliance, subscribe and ring the bell. Let us know in the comments. Is Merz's pivot permanent or political theater for the German electorate? And for our full breakdown of Germany's new defense strategy, the videos linked above,